My story starts on June the 20th, 1966, being born about 3 months premature with a twin sister at 1 pound and a couple ounces apiece. We were tiny, we weren't expected to live, we had no social security cards, we had no names. And it was out of that we ended up in foster care because my mom had her hands full with 4 other kids. This is Edgewick Avenue. This is my first stop in foster care after my parents moved to DC, to Jeff Street. And so this is the house of E.C. and May Lamb Reeves. They were a pastor couple, and this was my first foster home. And this is the place where I first found belonging. Tragedy struck at this home. One Easter, when I was about 7 years old, my foster mom asked, what did we want for dessert, my twin sister and I. I said apple pie, she said peach pie. My mom went off to get groceries, and she was making her way back here, coming up these steps right here with 2 bags in her hands. And as she was coming up these steps, she lost her grip. There were no handrails there. She fell back, hit her head, and the last time that I talked to her, what I said was apple pie. She would pass away on that Easter morning at about noon. And that would begin the beginning of our switch to our second foster home, which was down the road from here. I went back with my biological parents for 1 year. 1 year where we tried to get back together, and because we were just my sister and I were not fitting in, we ended up going back to my foster parents' home, and we got there with 2 bags, all of our belongings in 2 plastic bags. And my mom left us there, and we went back into the foster care situation. So after the tragedy of Edgewick Avenue, I moved to 4111 Shell Street here with Molly and Dave Allen. And this is where I spent from 8 to about 12 here in this home. Stayed in the same school, but Molly and David Allen was a Navy guy. He was the head chef at DC General Hospital, and Molly Allen was a homemaker. In fact, they had about 120 kids that they fostered in their time as foster parents. I remember bringing my wife here and my kids here because I wanted to show them the second place where I found belonging. And I remember talking to them about all that they had done to impact my life. And I remember David saying to me one day, "James, do you think our lives made a difference?" And I just said, "Well, just look at me. I'm the difference that your life made, and you had hundreds of kids." If God hadn't placed me in these 2 homes, I'm not sure I'd be a Christian today. I'm not sure that I would be who I am today and be what God has called me to. So when I talk about belonging in Christian community, it started in 2 families, and then it happened in a local church. It wasn't long after that we came back to our biological parents as we showed up home, a place we didn't know much about. We had never been there before. We hadn't seen our siblings in about 4 or 5 years. And here we are again, 2 plastic bags, all our stuff, trying to fit into a family that we didn't know much about. This is Kayak Avenue. This is where I grew up in Hillside, Maryland, and I grew up at 103 Kayak Avenue here. And my daughter would always tease me about how this was such a small house. And I would say to her, 9 people were in that house, because it was here that I was lacking community as far as Christian community was concerned. And one day, Reba and Dave Bowen came knocking on my door to invite me to Vacation Bible School. And as they say, the rest of the story changes everything. "500 feet up the road, there's a church called Grace Church that lives out its name and knocks on our door and invites us to VBS. And I start going to the church, and in that church, I find this family that I'm missing. Not my biological family was there, but this spiritual family that I was missing. And it was there that they took me in, and they gave me opportunities to grow and to lead. It was there that I gave my life to the Lord in a camper on the parking lot. It was there that they actually took an offering when I was called to ministry, and I had gone off of the deep end, and God called me out of the pigsty. They took an offering, put me in a van, and they carried me to Eastern Nazarene College. That kind of family, which was what changed my life. When I was a kid, I saw myself as a person who had no place. When I met Christ in that camper one day, I began to see myself as part of a body, as part of the church, that I did have a place, that I could be part of a body of Christ. And so I saw myself as a child of God. And today, I see myself as a messenger of hope, as a person who shares my experiences, my hurts, my habits, my hang-ups, everything that happened in my life, even to this very day, happened on that change where God intersected my life because someone knocked on the door. And so today, I say this often, wherever I speak, whenever I am involved in ministry in any way, shape, or form, it's because of, I call it my XC moment in a trailer with a associate pastor who led me to the Lord and who helped me to understand that I was more than just the person that did not have a place, that God had a place for me, and that God had a plan for my life. And what I've done is I've tried to live out that plan and also pay forward the investment that church and that pastor and those people made in my life.